Both major German states, Austria and Prussia, wanted influence over all German states of the German Confederation. Great tensions arise between these two states. When Prussia occupied the Austrian province of Holstein, war broke out on July 14, 1866. The southern Catholic states joined Austria, and the northern Protestant states joined Prussia. Surprisingly, the troops led by Austria made large territorial gains. Italy also joined the war on Prussia's side, because they wanted to recapture the province of Venice. However, progress there was rather slow. On the other hand, the Austrian troops were almost in front of Berlin and reached it shortly. As Berlin fell, Prussia was humiliated and signed the surrender on August 20, 1866. The peace treaty had the following changes to note. Prussia must cede the province of Silesia to Austria. Prussia was excluded from the German Confederation. All states of the German Confederation were now under the total influence of Austria. As Austria now had control over almost all German states, it was decided to give the territories outside of the German Confederation great autonomy. This was how the states of Hungary, Croatia, Bosnia, and Galicia-Lodomeria were founded. These areas were now vassal states of the Habsburg Empire, as Austria was now more focused about controlling Germany. In the Berlin Conference, Austria acquired some colonies, including Togoland, Austrian East Africa, Gabon, and the most important colony, the Congo. Prussia in particular had great interest in these areas and wanted to expand its influence. Since the acquisition of the Congo failed, new fire in the Prussian-Austrian hostility were laid. But despite this loss, Prussia acquired some colonies in Africa, which were Prussian Cameroon and Prussian Southwest Africa. The Balkan Crisis and the Balkan Wars happened like in our timeline. On January 11, 1914, the German Confederation united into a federal empire called the German Empire, led by Franz Joseph I. The reason for the unification was the very tense situation within Europe. Every country was preparing for war, and all that was missing was the lost spark. There were particularly great tensions between the German Empire and Prussia and Serbia. The reason for the poor diplomatic relationship with Serbia was because Serbia wanted to unite the South Slavic states. This also included the states of Croatia and Bosnia, which were under German control. On June 28, 1914, the German Crown Prince Franz Ferdinand was murdered in the Bosnian capital Sarajevo by Serbian nationalists commissioned by the Serbian government. Germany then gave Serbia an ultimatum that cannot be fulfilled completely. Germany saw this as a reason to intervene militarily in Serbia and declared war on them. Since the Russian Empire saw itself as the protector of the Slavic states, it quickly intervened and mobilized its troops. Since France and the former Empire of Austria had good relations in recent years, they sided with Germany and joined the Central Powers, especially since Austria did not pursue such an aggressive policy. France approached it more than Prussia. They also hoped to expand France's sphere of influence in Africa and to challenge Russia's domination. Prussia was also waiting for this war to finally take revenge on Austria and to regain influence in Germany. But it was now clear that this conflict cannot be solved diplomatically. Both sides achieved success for the first moments of the war. Italy had a plan to annex the Papal State in order to complete the Italian unification. Since there is now war, they assumed that France would not interfere. But since France sees Rome's independence as unchangeable, they quickly intervened and declared war on Italy. Italy was extremely surprised by France's reaction. The Papal State was quickly occupied. but now large parts of the population must be mobilized to defend the country. Italy turned to the Allies and joins the alliance. Great Britain also saw its actions as unjustified and joined the Central Powers, because a defeat of the Central Powers could lead to power inequality on the continent, which Great Britain wanted to prevent at all costs. Ultimately, the war also entered the Balkans. Bulgaria joined the Central Powers, had the main goal to annex Macedonia from Serbia. Romania and the Ottoman Empire both joined the Allies, because this was the best way for them to gain the territories in which they were interested. For Romania, it was the acquisition of Transylvania from Hungary, as there was a Romanian majority in this area. Greece remained neutral at first. Serbia had held up well so far, but with Bulgarian involvement it was surrounded by enemies and had almost no chance. The country fell in a short time, and they were divided between Germany and Bulgaria. The eastern part went to Bulgaria, and the western part became a puppet state of Germany, which also was forced to join the Central Powers. The war turned more and more in favor of the Central Powers, and huge territories were conquered. The Prussian capital city Berlin also fell. The capital was transferred to Königsberg. In addition, large parts of Italy, including its colonies, were occupied. The first peace negotiations took place in the background. The situation didn't look any better for the Ottomans either. Almost all areas on the Arabian Sea were occupied by the British, as well as the capital, Constantinople. The last nation to join the Central Powers was Greece. They wanted to secure the Greek-speaking areas in Anatolia, the historical city of Constantinople. On May 18th, Italy was the third Allied nation to surrender, because the country was suffering greatly from the war, and victory was hopeless. Prussia and the Ottoman Empire followed. The Russian Empire was the only nation left, but also there, the continuation of the war would only lead to unnecessary suffering for the civilian population, with no hope of victory. The war finally ended on July 19, 1917, with Russia's surrender. Peace is returned to Europe, but the question is, for how long? The representatives of the individual states of Central Powers met in Regensburg to negotiate the peace treaties. These will go down in history as the Congress of Regensburg. The first treaty was Italy. The treaty is very harsh, since Austria had seen Italy since its unification as a major enemy who interfered in Austria's interests. The following changes will be made. The Republic of Venice expands. The Kingdom of Sardinia is founded as a state with French influence. The colonies were divided between the victorious powers. Libya was divided between Great Britain and France. Eritrea went to France, and Somalia to Great Britain. Next we go to the treaty that was forced on Prussia. This too was anything but mild, because this was the second war in 50 years that Prussia lost to the former Austrian Empire. Prussia loses all Rhinish territories except the Saar Basin in the province of Saxony to Germany. The Saar Basin went to France. The provinces of West Prussia and Posen were handed over to a newly founded Polish state, but more on that in a moment. All colonies went to victorious powers. Prussian Namibia to Great Britain, Togoland to France, and Prussian Cameroon was divided between Germany and France. And lastly, the capital city was relocated back to Berlin. Prussia remained as a small, weak state in Central Europe and is only a shadow of its once glorious past. Now to the treaty for the Ottoman Empire. Bulgaria received the European part, except the city of Istanbul. Greece received the city of Istanbul, as well as Izmir, the surrounding areas, as promised to them. Palestine and Jordan fell to Great Britain. Parts of Syria and Lebanon went to France as colonies, and Hejaz went to a newly founded Arab state. Regarding the last treaty that was put on Russia, they received a relatively mild peace treaty, since most of the war wasn't fought in Russia, and the balance of power should be maintained. Only the following changes were made. Finland became a completely sovereign state. Romania got Moldova because this country is heavily under German influence. Russia was forced to hand over the territories of Poland to Germany, and a Polish vassal state was founded. Finally, a Polish state was back on the map. Afterwards, there were smaller border changes, which primarily affected the administration of the Habsburg lands. The state of Galicia-Lodomeria was passed to Poland to strengthen this country and to prepare it for future wars as a strong ally. This campaign also served to strengthen the German-Polish relationship. Furthermore, there's a Polish majority in Galicia anyway. A Czech state was also back on the map after independence of Bohemia and Moravia. This was explicitly demanded by the new Emperor Karl I, who wanted to make Germany a more stable country and strengthen the Habsburgs' position in Europe. The last change which was made was that Germany ceded the Italian-speaking parts of southern Tyrol to Venice, for the same reasons as mentioned with Czechia. This was my episode of What Would Happen if Germany was united by Austria. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye.